What if the secret to fulfillment isn't doing more, but being more? Today, my friends, we are diving into the life of a woman who walked away from managing multi-million dollar empires to help people reclaim the one thing they lost, their soul's blueprint. Andrea Quigley, welcome to the stage. Let's get uncomfortable. What's up, my friend?
Good. How are you doing, Carlos?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm so looking forward, my friends, to this. I mean, this is going to be an incredible interview. We both done things with Tony freaking Robbins,
Yep.
good friend of ours. And I love when I'm on the stage with my brother Tony. Shout out to you, my brother. Big hug on stage and the kids. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this interview. And I want to get right into it, my friend Andrea. You spent decades
Mhm.
serving the ultra high achievers.
Yep.
What was the exact moment you realized their success wasn't filling your soul, and what terrified you about walking away?
Um. Oh goodness. So, what terrified me about walking away? Well, I think it started probably many years ago, but about 4 years ago, I after COVID, I realized that I really needed to embark on my own business. And so I pivoted from being an employee to actually starting my own high end property management company. And I got a few clients. Everything was going well. And but then I realized that it was kind of what I was trying to create was a business of opportunity, something that I was familiar with. I was really good at managing people's lives and their homes and their planes and their yachts and whatever it might be. But um, I really knew that I had a unique background to be able to offer something more to them and to bring value in a different way, to use our friend Tony Robbins' words, who I worked for 4 years and taking care of his home and property and things related to his family. And it hit me, because as I have literally worked for some of the wealthiest people in the world, some of very accomplished business leaders, entrepreneurs, change makers like Tony and his wife, and yet everybody is a human being. So
Yeah,
we'll just start there,
yeah.
Carlos.
Were you in Del Mar, Andrea, in San Diego?
No,
Or
I actually managed his property here in Florida, which is where I am
okay,
now.
all right,
Right.
in West Palm Beach.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, Palm Beach
very,
County.
very nice house. He has some nice neighbors there. Yes,
He
no,
has
I
some
love it.
nice neighbors, and I was actually, when I came to work for him, I was the one responsible for overseeing the entire renovation of his home, as well as his I guess you could say his creme de la creme. I know he shows it, going down the slide to his studio and that whole under the ground
Oh yeah,
monstrosity.
the ice bath on the side, jumping in.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that
Tony
was all
he
me.
loves it. No, man, this is great, man. I love, I have a lot of friends, in real estate and property management, family offices. Like you and I were even talking before the show.
Right.
When I done a lot of work with Comcast over the years, I helped them generate over $1 billion in revenue, and it was all because incredible connections like you. And people that I connect with over the years in property management, real estate builders,
Mhm.
contractors, and it's so important, right? Especially for some of you guys that they are maybe considering like leaving your job and start on your own. And Andrea has that incredible story, and I love that. And I often say, Andrea, the greatest prison we live in is in the fear of what we would lose by becoming who we are meant to be, right? I bet you talk a lot about that. Tony does, I do, and some of our friends and the people that we are in proximity
Yep.
with. But one of Tony Robbins, a wake up call. Tony told you, do the same bleeping thing, get
Yeah,
the same bleeping result, you know? And how did that confrontation rewire your definition of purpose?
so I have to tell you, there was an event, there was a time where, and let's just say it, I mean, I'm managing a lot
Yep.
for him, property wise, and he was upset. Quite frankly, he wanted something and he wanted it within a particular time frame, and so he had a very passionate moment, and basically it wasn't anything I had actually done, but I was the recipient of this
Yep.
passionate moment where he wanted a deadline to be met that the builder was telling him couldn't be done, and he just really reinforced to me, you keep doing the same thing, Andrea, you're going to get the same result. With all of his 6'7" passionate expressions, as you might imagine, which I won't repeat in the exact words on this
That's
show.
why I say the bleeping.
So bleep, yeah. And so actually what happened, it forced me to consider what were the options, like what was a solution to this problem. And I have to say that was one of the biggest takeaways after working for the Robbins for 4 years, is that he truly is completely solution oriented.
Yep.
And he's like, there's always an option. And Andrea, don't tell me no, although there are times I was in a position I had to tell him no, but it forced me constantly to think outside the box. So what happened was, because he really didn't give me a choice other than to make it happen, what he wanted to happen. So Carlos, you're not going to believe it, but what I did is I created a fictitious event.
Wow.
I created, and I didn't say the specifics, but I created a fictitious event. I told the builder, like, I'm so sorry. I understand, what I was asking of them was probably impossible, but like there was a huge public event that we were putting on the property, and therefore the construction had to be finished by this particular date. So, and I told Tony, I said, look, I've created something. If anybody asks you, just direct them to me and don't say anything. And and this will be, I promise you, the home, the guest home will be done, by this date. He was like, okay. And that's what I did. And in that moment, I realized how just our inner resources, what we can pull on. How if we open up our minds and open up our hearts and open up to possibilities. And I think that was, for me, like an understanding, like I'm not just here just taking care of the things in people's lives, because whether it was Tony or whether it was other families that I've worked for, it's really, I've been helping, I realized I've basically been helping them to navigate through things in their life. And the biggest, part in that equation was also, for it to be done, there's an incredible amount of trust that they had in me. Oh, yeah. So I think that, back to your original question, there was a point I just knew that I'm here to do more. And even Tony having that conversation with me, that passionate conversation. And I tell you, this conversation happened at a stoplight in full vocals while I was driving him to an appointment.
Oh, God, I know it. I know that brother, man. I'm 6'5" like him, right? He's a little bit taller than me. And so I'm very intense at times, and I love it. I love it because that's what I try to do with the show. Like I told you right earlier, is like I love interviewing, small business owners and influencers, and literally going deep, because so many people out there, whether they are in transitioning, they're thinking about transitioning, or they are helping, or they don't work with the mega influential people like you and I. We've been helping and assisting the top 1% for so
Correct.
long. It is a different level of mindset of everything these people do. It's like more and more and more is intense. And then it causes us to think. I often tell my clients, just hold it. What else? Just by asking yourself that little pause, let me get back to you in a few hours. Let me get back to you tomorrow. And then ask yourself, okay, what else does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What else? What other options are out there? What am I? Maybe is there something else? And then now from that place, you can go deep into your subconscious mind and then let your soul speak with you. And it's another level. But as I always say, right, when one door closes, a million doors open.
Mm-hmm.
And you created sacred Vida
I did.
twice, once as an idea and once as a mission.
Yeah.
What died inside of you to
Yeah.
make space for this rebirth?
Um, it I basically I just opened up to it.
Mm,
I had from the time I was young. I mean, I had an interesting upbringing and that my father was a military man. My first schooling was in Asia. So an American, blonde-headed girl speaking Taiwanese and Chinese. My parents put me in a Taiwanese school instead of sending me to the military American school. My mother would take me downtown Taipei to barter with the shopkeepers, and really kind of immerse me in the culture. So we're impacted before the age of 7, like what we get from our environment, from our parents, and I think that was very impactful time in my life.
What time? What timeline was that, Andrea? Around what year?
Between the age of 4 and 6.
Okay, and then was it the '90s, the 2000s? What timeline?
I'm a little older than that, Carlos. It's in the late
That's why I don't want to ask your age.
60s.
I was just trying to, thinking over here historically wise, because there certain timelines. It was pretty crazy around
It,
certain countries, as you and I know.
right. I mean, my father, he did 3 tours in Vietnam, and then when we lived in Taiwan, he was flying in Okinawa. Just to kind of
Wow.
give you the time frame. So, I grew up with, obviously, I mean, my father, 100% Irish Catholic, and yet we're walking the streets of Taipei, and there's Buddhist temples, and other types of religions and cultures and spirituality that's seeped, like just in the streets in
Yeah.
Taiwan, different than you would find in like Main Street America. So I think that seed was planted. Also, my mother was very she really taught me to have a respect for other cultures, and so this whole idea of life being sacred started when I was very young.
Mm.
In those really formidable years, and then come back to the United States, and I get put into a Catholic school. Um, so, and,
Wow. You
and
know,
then,
wow. You know
so
what I always say, Andrea, is that every rebirth, begins with a funeral, of like a version like of yourself that's settled. It's
yeah.
something that I always talk about. But wow, interesting. So
So
so it comes from that all those years. I often talk about between ages 2 and 10, we're like an empty hard drive.
yeah.
Whatever we see, and then in your case, right, all you saw is war and craziness and chaos. And back in those days, right, '70s and the '80s, it was pretty intense. It was
Mhm.
pretty intense as a kid, like you say, being around that environment.
It was. But and we also, my father, he was a military officer, so we moved a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I think that, so I was exposed to high ranking officials, military officials, while at the same time my mother, wherever we were, whether we were in Taiwan, Kansas, Alabama, wherever, she just brought us into the community, so that we had a sense of home and a sense of belonging. um, but somewhere in there, the next pivotal point really was when I was in college, and I was a forensic photographer for a year. And it was that experience, Carlos, that really, when we talk about sacred Vida, that I connected at a very deep level that what gives us life is a soul,
Mm.
spirit, whatever you want to call it, and that the body is a vehicle for that. So, it's been in me like all of these years, and I fell into taking care of the homes and the properties and the lives of the ultra wealthy just because somebody saw something in me that I had that potential, and I
Yeah.
was somebody that I could trust. It wasn't the trajectory that I was going on, but it's what happened. And I was very good at it. And then that pivotal moment was Sacred Vida, and I'm like, I need to bring this to life because there's more. And then the property management company, I'm like, okay, this is great because I know it, but I myself wasn't feeling fulfilled. I'm like, what? Um, so I did, to be in all honesty, I kept one client because this family is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I do just a little bit of a piece for them on the side, because they're such lovely humans. And they also believe in me and what I'm doing. And I've actually I started, they were so open with me about, you know, right. I have, I'm a multi-centi millionaire, and yet, like, what's next? Like,
I love that about you. You're like a lot of people, like, you keep it at 100, and there's nothing wrong, right? I always tell people, keep it at 100, man. Honesty. I had a friend that reached out the other day, and he's going through some conflicts, his life and with everything. And I said, just look, the best way is always keeping it 100, right? With your loved ones, with your spouse, with your business partners, being honest, integrity, keeping it 100, and it'll set you free. It's like you don't have to go to sleep at night thinking that you're doing something. Oh my God, what if they find out? It's like, I love that about you. And something interesting about you, because I was doing some homework on you. Doing your medicine ceremony,
yeah,
you realize that you are not a coach but a navigator. What is
exactly.
what is the difference, and why that distinction matter, my friend?
So, and I'm not just any navigator, Carlos. I'm a life navigator, to be
Mm,
clear. And I don't put it out there, but since in this forum, I can say I'm actually a queen navigator.
I love that.
Um, and it was really, it's because I have the ability. It's like it all connected, and that's what I'm really here now to be able to help people with, because it's not, I the process that I take people through, and mind you, Carlos, I came up with this framework that I have, the remember, reconnect, and realign, the process that's been in place now for several years. Okay. However, what happened recently, it was just at a deeper level. And for myself, a deep remembering that, yes, I'm not a coach, I'm actually a navigator. And I can see and I understand how to help people, um, especially ultra high achievers who seemingly have it all, and have great material success, but feel like there's something missing. It's because they're not they're not aligned with their actual soul code. And that's what was given to me, that I'm actually a navigator. I understand I know, and it gets a little out there, but it's also very down to earth. That there's like these frequencies that people come in. For example, I'm a navigator, you know, Carlos, I would probably like, Tony. He's clearly an activator. He activates the true essence of individuals to be all that they can be. You following me? Some
Amen.
people, they're creators. They're here. They have like a different, and it's also like an activator too is very down to earth. Now some would say, like with Tony, that maybe he's more of like a disruptor because that's more of a fiery energy. But truth be told, he really, his essence, because the one thing I can tell you about this man from my time with him is that he really deeply cares about people.
Yeah.
He
No.
deeply, deeply cares about people, for people, and it's just very admirable, I feel very blessed to have had the time that I had supporting him and his wife and their family.
Yeah.
Um, and but so that's so this is I mean it literally is like one of those. I now understand when people say, oh, I just like received, if you know things like the gene codes, or you see people who are chiropractors. I know of a couple that they started, like he literally said, I was waking up every night and I was given this genius frequency, and him and his wife are helping people in really big ways. Honestly, Carlos, that's what happened to me.
Yeah. I
I
love that stuff.
was, it was just, it was just like I was anointed with it. I woke up to remember who I am in this life and what I'm here to do, which is to help other souls awaken, reconnect to who they are and their real purpose in this life, and then to realign their life to it. Now, the thing is that I have had this. I can't. For years, I wanted to actually walk away from what I was doing. I mean, people think working with, the ultra high achievers, the 1% of the 1% is easy or glamorous. It's not. It's a lot of hard work, and then but I started to realize that's what I started to also wake up. I'm like, well, you have 5 homes, you have the yacht, you have the car, you have the children, you seemingly have it all. But I kept running up against where they themselves were feeling like something was still missing,
Yeah.
or they couldn't enjoy what they have.
Wow.
So it's about I've there's so much. I'm trying to remember who it is, because I follow people like Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've been to a lot of his retreats and
Yeah. I love Joe.
meditations. Dr. Joe's great. Dr. Greg Brighton, he's just another gem of a human. Um, Anita Morjani. Um, you have Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's
Yeah.
no longer here, but I tell you that.
True legend. I love, oh man, Darn. I remember you
Uh-huh,
here ever guys, you guys listening to us, ever listen to the tapes and the
uh-huh,
CDs and the collection, have the collection, the tapes and the CDs. I love it.
yeah,
But you know what? You take me through like a memory lane, and I'm self-reflecting here, as you mentioned. I bet a lot of people at home, right? Type in, guys, just like be honest. Like, you guys are listening to us live. Even if you're here late on the replay, right? We're streaming this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. And if you guys are with us live here on the replay, type in below. Did you guys also ever been through that? You feel something's missing, right? That you are meant for more. There's so much stuff out there. Like even when you're talking about energy and frequencies, right? I have a lot of friends in the military. I had to do a lot of research for my daughter when she was born with a condition that it wasn't a cure for it. It's a mutation, right? And I
mhm,
learned so much because the doctor's trying to tell me that, oh, it's not a cure for it. Okay, watch me. And that's what it led me to even be on the stage with Tony Robbins long
wow,
time ago when I told him the story. And I learned just so much. Like, I even became like certified master in Qigong. My master was the same master that actually helped Sigourney Weaver cure
oh,
some of her healthy problems. And Sigourney from the Aliens, you guys very familiar with her. She's a big time actor, and she's done with a lot of healthy issues over the years, this past decades. And he's pretty much helped her through Qigong. And
mhm,
Qigong, for some of you guys that don't know, right, you're actually able to play with energy. And if you become really good at it, you're actually able to fight with somebody and push them away, even without being in there touching them.
yeah,
Some of you guys probably even feel like when I do this here with my hands, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you energy, I'm sending you abundance. Some of you guys might even feel it, right? So a lot of people, they don't understand that it's so much more out there, guys. In military, a bunch of things that's not out there, where you're actually able to send energy and frequency through without being in that place, to an entire different country, an entire different room. You guys ever felt like you're in a room and you're doing great, and out of nowhere you feel that frequency, whether it's jealousy or hate or anger? It could be that you share something that you are happy about. You got you got a new job, you got a new offer, you got a new stage, you're happy about your children that accomplished first, second place, whatever, your spouse, and now you put it out there, and now you feel something strange or weird out of nowhere. You just never know. It's so much out there that people they don't understand, Andrea. You and I know because we've been around. We travel a lot. We've been around a lot of wealthy people that they talk about. They do those things. They have the machines, right? The rights of the world and all the crazy stuff that Tony does, that I do, that many of our friends do. And that's why I love it. As you're talking here, my mind is like just spinning. And one more thing before I ask you this next question that I always tell people, I love what you said about the life navigator, the queen navigator. Because guess what, guys? A coach tells you how to win the game. A life navigator helps you realize that the game was never yours to play. Let that sink in for a minute.
I
But
like
wow,
that, Carlos.
I'm really enjoying this conversation. You take me through a memory lane. It's like because I want you guys listening to you guys. You know me. I bring great people here on the show, like Andrea, so that maybe you guys are stuck. Maybe you guys are trying to figure something out that you can't. All right, how about reach out to Andrea? And maybe there might be a blockage there that a life navigator, the queen navigator, might be able to help, right? We're not making any claims over here that we fixing or we curing nothing. All we are saying is that get a second opinion. You stuck, you cannot fix something, you cannot figure something out. It's been a battle, right? For years, for a decade, whatever that may be. And that's why I like to bring great people on the show like Andrea here, so that we open up. Just like, even if you doubt, oh, you guys are way out there. No. Like, how about just doubt our own doubt? When is the last time that you doubt your own doubts? Think about it, guys. When is the last time that you think about your own thinking and really self-reflect on a very deeper level? Especially if you are, trying to grow your business, your company, and you stuck. Whether you are, you've been making, let's say, 100 grand and you want to get to 500,000 and you just can't figure it out. Or you are making $1 million and you want to get to 5 or 10 million and you stuck there. And you and I know you can do it. That deep inside, you guys listening to us, you can be there. But for whatever reason, invisible forces, and you never know how, talking to Andrew, talking to myself, you're able to, start annihilating those demons. But I won't go into the demons yet. You know what I mean? But Soulcode versus society. Let's talk a little bit about that, because when you say society honors the servant, right? That rational mind, and then forget the sacred gift, the intuition. How do we, disobeying that programming? Like, how do we even start, right, to disobeying that programming? Like, what was your take on that, Andrea?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of disobeying. I think it's just, again, where you put your focus and where you put your attention. And what happens, especially with ultra high achievers, is they put so much of their they're an entrepreneur, they're developing their company, their business, their brand, and then it's just like everything about what they can do and do and do and do and do, and they don't take time to just stop each day and reflect about what really matters to them. So it's like getting caught up in this more, wanting more, having to do more, primarily doing more. And that's where the disconnect is, instead of actually about being more, being, in being content. Where does peace come from? Where does fulfillment come from? It's going to come from within. It's not going to come from how many homes you have, how many fast cars you have, how many airplanes you have. It's really, in the end, and I can tell you from the people I've supported for so many years, there was a point when I did for the Robbins what I did for their house and the renovation, and they came for the reveal when we had the furniture in, and I mean, he thanked me for making their home a sanctuary. And so that sanctuary, like the outer, so really the work that I do with people and why it's navigating instead of coaching, is I'm really helping to guide people within, which is where you need to go to than to remember and reconnect and then realign outwardly. So it's an inside job to then have the outside aligned. So I can tell you, I am the first not to judge, if you have multi-millions, you're a billionaire. I've worked with them all.
Wow.
Um, it's a different type of mindset. So I'm like very open. I have no judgment about that. But I'm like, if you have all of that, or even let's just say somebody, I have a client right now. He's not at that level, but he wants to live a more fulfilled life. And we, and like he understands. And for me, it's helping him to remember and bring into his own awareness of, where, how does he need to be living in order for his creativity to flourish, for example. That's one very practical example. So even if it seems like I'm out there a bit, let me tell you, I'm also very grounded down on earth. And that's like a gift that I have, that I can be out there but down here. And that's what I help, and the inside outside, just to have it all be connected, because that's really the when things become disconnected, that's where people are feeling unfulfilled. That tends to be where they don't, they're having issues in their relationships, for examples. They're not being honest with themselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
so then
That is a big one, right?
that's
Not being honest with ourselves.
huge.
And then, the imposter syndromes kicks in. Come on, guys, be honest. That's been you. Just type in me below. And, it's just, it's crazy. And before I go to the next question here, my friend, I just want to give a shout out. One of the companies that I am the co-founder. There's a lot of people out there right now struggling. Robert Kiyosaki just put out a blog the other day that we might see another 2008. As some of you guys know, a lot of those companies out there, markets are crashing, and a lot of the banks are over leveraged. A lot of those stock companies, they over leverage. And at any point, not a financial advisor, but I have helped tens of thousands of people become wealthier and wiser. But definitely, if you guys are worried, if you're getting near your retirement age, and if you want to get a second opinion, myself, my team, my own companies throughout the US, this is for US only. We're giving like financial strategies where we can show you how to protect your money, grow your money tax free, and transfer your wealth tax free in case if something ever happens to you. So if you guys want to learn more, go to disruptorscode.com. Again, one more time, that is disruptorscode.com. Thank you again. And it's funny, guys, you were talking about disruptors earlier, but right back at it, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have over here Andrea Quigley rocking it with us. And what an incredible conversation. I see a bunch of people here live the entire time. Guys, you guys know the show is free. I've been interviewing people for the last 20 plus years since MySpace. You guys see me interviewing influencers, celebrities, athletes, incredible people like Andrea. And the way how we can grow this show is by you guys do me a huge favor. Go on Apple, carlosinspireshow.com, leave a review, subscribe. I think we over hundreds of 5-star reviews. We are one of the top 100 podcasts on Apple. So I'm very proud of that. You guys know I'm very competitive. And now I want to be on the top of the other ones as well. So if you guys could go to Spotify, Carlos Inspire Show, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Google, everywhere. We are everywhere. If you guys could go there and do me a huge favor, subscribe, drop a review. Everyone count. It takes less than 2 minutes. It's free, and you help us bring in more incredible guests. We help the show earns more money from our affiliates. Every money that we make in our show, we are out there giving it back on the streets. You guys know me. I go on the streets, on the supermarkets. I go in the corners. I look for women selling their tamales, their fruits. I ask them how much they make, and I give them 2-3 times more of that in cash. I'm looking for veterans and homeless on the streets. I surprise them. I bring them a little hat, a blanket, and I put money inside. So at the end of the day, man, it's like, how much are we doing that we're not putting the cameras on people's face above and beyond the tax bracket? How much are we all giving? Right? You guys know me. I'm all about contribution, never acquisition. And you guys, our listeners, our guests, you guys have no idea how much your support meant to us. A lot of people out there, they have food in the table right now because of you guys listening, because of your like, because of your repost, because you engage with us. So from the bottom of my heart and my family and everybody that we support in Brazil, over here in USA and around the world, thank you. I just want to put that out there. And my friend, Andrea, you've seen billionaires crumble. What's the number one void even money and success can't fill?
Um, the number one void. Hmm.
I told you I was going to bring the good questions.
You told me you were going to bring the good
And my followers, they know me. I
The,
love to bring the good and take your
the
time. And I want
good
you guys
question.
to,
So
yeah.
I, I think here's here's the thing. I have to preface this that I've been fortunate for the most part to work for amazing individuals and families who are always giving and contributing um, within their success.
Mhm.
Okay. Like I've, it's really pretty, I feel very fortunate with the exception of one or two, and that's not bad in,
Right.
30
Oh,
years.
it's always
So
one, Andrea.
yeah. So,
It's
but
always one.
however, I would say it you know where I've actually um seen them crumble, and it may be something you're not quite expecting, is when somebody truly gives to them and they're in a position to receive.
Mm,
Like, even if it's something small, like, how are you today? How
mhm,
are you today? It and that's like the void in what I've been talking about, is that when you have somebody who has amassed, like, we'll just be honest, incredible wealth, they tend to have had to have done a lot to do that.
mm,
They've all told me, ironically, that there's been some element of luck as well, the ones that have been ultra successful. But there is just this point of, like, again, and what I'm really here to, what I know I have to offer is to help them to come back to themselves and
mm.
to their own soul, so that then they actually it are feeling even more complete within themselves, and they can, there's, so there's a receiving in that,
Yeah.
and for themselves, and that is, and the other thing I've heard them say is when there's certain moments that they are getting to experience something phenomenal, and for whatever reason their loved ones aren't there with them to be able to experience it.
Yeah. No. It's no, it's interesting. As you're saying that, I was actually self-reflecting here. My great friend Les Brown, he just celebrated his birthday a few days ago. Happy birthday, my brother. And you gotta be hungry. Let's freaking go shoot for the moon and you land among the stars. You have greatness within you, you know. And one time, Les, he took me out to eat. And we were speaking at an event in Los Angeles.
Mm.
And he wanna pay for the meal. And I was like, oh hell no. It's like, dude, you are my all-time mentor. I know that. And he's like, no. He's like, you're not gonna rob this out of me. I told you I want to eat with you. I want to pick on your brain, Carlos. I want to learn something from you. And I was like, bro, you are the all-time master, and mentor. And so him and I we trade, advice. And I was, he wanted to pick on my brain on a few things. And I was like, and he's like, when he told me that, I was like, bro, no, my grandma used to hear professors. My grandma used to clean house for
Uh-huh.
professors, and she would hear them talking about Les Brown and Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie and Robbins and all these people. And she goes and we're like, she used to tell me your quotes, brother, when I was young and struggling. I want to kill myself, and I was, it was like it sucked. And if it wasn't your quotes and all the other legends, that you learned from, I wasn't gonna be here right now alive. And it's like, not gonna let you do that. He's like, no, it's not about you letting me, like, So I used to have a hard time, because oh, I've been successful. Like, I want to treat my mentor, right? I
Right.
want to treat somebody that I love and I respect. And he's like, no, you ain't robbing that from me. Say, I invited you to eat. It's on me. I want to pick on your brain, Carlos. I want to learn something. I'm like, no, you are like, bro, you silly. Like, and so it was very uncomfortable for me. It's funny you saying that. So I'm just, being real and raw here with you guys. And I never like it, like, I was like, no, I can at least we split it, and even then he didn't let me. So I felt very uncomfortable. But I guess, but you and I know based on our training, Andrea, this shit is subconscious, right? It comes from like, the little poor Carlos when I was 7 years old selling bread and just, like, no, you got to work hard. You got to be hungry.
Yeah,
You, you
you
know,
do.
it's,
You have to, this whole thing, and it's about what you have to do versus there was a period for 14 years that I assisted this spiritual teacher. And I remember, because I'm very organized, I'm very good at logistics, and I was helping with all of these retreats. And um, there was a point, and she was working with me in a particular way. And she basically said, okay, no more. You're not doing it. You're not doing anything. Your job is to sit here behind me and to hold space. And you're going to sit here. And she did this to me month after month after month, to where for me to understand that in terms of the value that I could bring, like my worth wasn't tied to what I could do. It was who and how I was being. And that is what she needed and what was most important. And that's another thing. I think people, they become disconnected from that. It's, and I see this, I've seen this with with anybody, not just, ultra high achievers. And what it does is that it's like, okay, well, if I just do more, that'll be better, I'll make more money. It's like this whole thing. It's like, well, whoa, wait a second. What about if you enjoy the sunrise today, with your feet on the earth and with your children sitting next to you, for example? It seems like a simple thing, but these are, the one thing, Carlos, too, I've said for years, I would just be saying it. Um, all that I'm seeking is also seeking me. And if you have this life to live it fully. And I know that, also a part of my story, I'm sure, is, my brother, who was my best friend, took his own life. When he was in his 20s, and he was only 2 years younger than me. And that was very challenging for me, to understand and why that would happen. And so it's a part of my story. And I think in terms of what it is that I'm here now to help people with, because of what I have experienced in my life. So from being a forensic photographer to growing up in, young, as a young child in Taiwan, in a different culture that's steeped in spirituality, not just religion, but spirituality, and how they are with one another. That's what's shaped me. And then I worked with, these really ultra high net worth, ultra high achieving individuals for all of these years. And that's what's just, to get back to your original question, that's what had me pivot, because I know that that's special, that I was given that gift. And I know everybody has something special. They have the gift that they were given in this life, that they are born, and through, however many years they've been here on this planet, and then what they're here to do and to give to others. And so I think that was a little bit off, but I
No,
just
no,
wanted
no.
to
I
share
love it. I
that.
love, how we roll here. I always tell all my guests, I never give you guys questions, what I'm thinking, what I'm planning. I like to be like this off the cuff. And you guys know me. I'm self-reflecting as I'm listening. I'm a very good listener, as you guys can see. And then because it makes me a better interviewer. And you just take me over here on a timeline. And it's cool because we keep it at 100. We keep it at real. And that's why I think the show is successful. You guys love it, right? Every time it's a couple of hundred people here live and a couple of thousand downloads. It's a sign that they love it, and that's how we know. It's like, and I love what you're talking about. And speaking about things that I love, I'm always talking about challenges and things like that. I mean, you have the 5-minute challenge, and your challenge is basically to be for 5 minutes daily, right? I always tell my clients, if you don't have 3 to 5 minutes, come on, right?
Right.
You're like, you don't have a life if you don't have 3 to 5 minutes a daily. So for the hustlers listening, I've mentored a lot of sales teams, Andrea, for the last 20 years. I travel around the world, do a lot of sales workshops, you name it. Car dealership, insurance, telecom, IT,
Wow.
tech, you name it, coaches, and oh God. So I have a lot of sales guys that listen to this podcast.
Great.
And so for the hustlers listening, how do you convince them that, even though we're not in the convincing business, but Andrea, how do you convince them that not doing it is the ultimate productivity hack? I used to battle with that for years, but I wanted
You
them to hear. I
know,
talk about that a lot, but I wanted them to hear from you.
I challenge each of you, you too, Carlos,
I
you
like
know,
that. Challenging the challenger. Let's
yeah,
go.
challenging the challenger here to take 5 minutes a day for yourself internally to reflect upon how you're feeling, what you're seeing, what's coming to you, and to remember what is really important to you. And to reconnect to that every day, and then to just let that grow like it's a little fire, ember in a fireplace. And Carlos, come back, if you do this every day for the next 6 months, and then you answer the question you've asked.
It's power, man. I tell people to take a few times a day, 3 to 5 minutes, whether we do something so simple, like even tapping, right?
Yeah.
You can do tapping. You can, I have like, I'm over here in my studio. I got my little thing that I get on top and it shakes my whole body. I got my rollers. I got all kinds of cool stuff. I got my sauna. I got all kinds of cool things that I like, jumping around. I got, massage guns, all kinds of stuff. Sometimes you just take a 3 to 5 minute break. It doesn't matter. Even like dropping on the floor, drop dead, lay down, and just relax for a few minutes. Like, especially if you go after, whether you are a coach, you're a therapist, you're a mental health coach, and you're dealing with difficult cases. You gotta be able to like, breathe, like after a difficult conversation. Or even sometimes over here on the show, you guys know how we roll. We're going through some intense things, or some of you guys, might lost a brother or a sister for suicide. So when Andrea talking about that, it probably took you there, right? I have a younger brother, I mean, his father was murdered, right? And same mom, so I know that been through his head. He's like a son to me. I kind of raised him, but you know what I mean. So it's like, you just you got to prepare, man. Like before the tsunami hits, you got to, and those little 3 minutes and 5 minutes, that's where the game is. Like, and that's why I'm pounding on it. And you guys know I talk about this so much, but I love when my guests talk about it, because you guys know it comes from a good place. It comes from the sacred place, right? The soul code. I always talk about, right, the universe doesn't reward hustle; it rewards surrender. Let that sink in for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. When is the last time that you surrender? Right? Because surrendering will set your soul free. Forgiveness, it will set your soul free. And sometimes it just take, like, you know what I mean? We just take a breather, like just let it go. Just know that stillness is where the destiny downloads, right? Where we're able to suck in, that stuff subconsciously getting those downloads when we are in stillness mode, right? When those days that I used to drop dead on the floor and they were shooting at each other, and my grandma say, "Son, just drop down when the gangsters are shooting at each other, and you just stay there until the bullets are done flying." And I was there, just stillness, and I will imagine the sounds of the guns and the explosion, the chaos. I would imagine being firework, and I am in Disneyland, and my favorite character just saying, you know, and the mind is so powerful.
It
You know, and it's
it's very powerful, and just to touch on that, it's so powerful that, if you what you focus on is what you're going to foster.
amen.
Where you focus, you're going to foster. So if you focus on winning, like internally, if you focus on gratitude, whatever you focus on, that's what's going to grow. So the other thing is that language. So I have multiple certifications in NLP because, in this day and age, also to be somewhat reputable, you need to have that.
Yeah.
But language is so key. So also, if I was to just like throw a tidbit out there, is to be very mindful of your speaking. Be very mindful of your speaking. Be very mindful of your thinking, because that really affects actually your well-being.
Amen, sister. I have to talk about Andrea the stinking thinking. A
Thinking,
good,
thinking.
a good friend, Joseph McClendon, man. I
Oh,
always,
Joseph,
yeah, we
yes.
had Joseph on the show before. Joseph is a dear friend for more than 10+ years.
Yeah.
Shake that
Yeah.
ass. Shout out to my brother Joseph McClendon. Joseph, if you're listening to the show, I love you, brother. We gotta get Joseph back in the show, man. We had a great time when I was interviewing him. Was in the middle of COVID, and the riots was breaking outside his house in LA in the middle of the podcast. It was like surreal stuff. You know, that's
So,
true. I'm telling you, Joseph, everything. You know what? I always had a funny photo here. I always tell when people say, "Oh, Carlos, I don't have hope. I don't have anything. I don't know what you guys do." Let me see if I can find it here. I always it's a funny photo. Oh God, I really hope I have it here. Here to show you guys know me. I'm big in visuals. That's why I want to for you guys that are listening, man. I'm telling you, when I announce the live episodes, listen, man. Come and follow me and Andrea on LinkedIn,
yeah.
Carlos Cicada, and so that you guys are able to listen and watch us live, dropping questions over here like in real time. I know today's you guys have been shy, haven't seen any questions come in, but it's all good. I mean, Andrea, she's just bringing the heat. Oh, Andrea, you were left out of this photo. Was when Joe and I we were young, and oh God, it's so silly. I'm gonna owe you guys the photo, but when I find Andrea, I will send it to you. And then, guys,
Perfect. Please do.
I'll put the photo here. It's a Joe and he had the long hair, and me with long hair, and then Joe with Tony. And then me with Tony. It was just a character photo. I'll put in the comments, guys. Oh God, I'm getting old, and but now my friend, I love it. Wow, time went fast. We almost have a whole hour. Andrea, what is the best time, Andrea, that they can follow you? Where do you hang out the most on social media? Is that your website? Is there a particular social? If they want to carry on this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to ask your question or follow through with you or follow you, where do you hang out the most, my friend?
So I actually, because of the clientele that I have, LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me. Um, Also, I have my website, sacredvita.com, especially if somebody, that way you can find out, we've touched on some things, but you can find out more about me and also the work that I do, and also reach out to me for a personal consultation, if you would like. And then I'm somewhat on Facebook and Instagram. I don't, again, I tend to, I'm being a little bit better right now about posting content there, but LinkedIn is really kind of the best place.
Yeah, and I love LinkedIn.
So
LinkedIn is
I do
amazing.
too.
Yes. Now, and I'm assuming you're there also by your name, Andrea Quigley. I tag her on this post, guys. So I want you guys to follow Andrea there, and let me know if you guys follow her. Put a comment in below. Like I said, man, every time that you guys make a comment, when you guys repost something and you do a like on my guest and myself, LinkedIn opens up for so many more people. Sometimes I get 100,000 to 300,000 impressions on a weekly basis. And like I tell you guys, you know how much would that cost, guys, to do that? And imagine how many lives we can impact from not killing themselves, from maybe they always message me for years. I get those letters and those texts and emails. Man, that one guest, that one interview, you guys gave so much gold and it saved my life. It saved my marriage. It saved my business. And that's the invisible price, guys. That like I told you guys earlier, that 1 minute that you take to like, to drop a comment, and on Andrea, on myself. Now LinkedIn sees that. Oh wow, people are commenting, they are liking. They will open up, and it's just, you never know who you are saving because you took the 1 minute, or you were not shy, and you just put a comment. Oh, Carlos, I love you. I hate you. I don't like you. Whatever it is. Even when, if you guys don't like something, put that comment, because even that helps, right? I always tell people, man, if you're not getting any hate on you, it's like, you're not growing it. You got to be out there. I found the photo, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
here we go.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that. That's my friend Joseph McClendon and I when we were young with long hairs. And
Oh
then look
my
at us,
goodness.
on the stage with the man, the myth, the legend, Tony freaking Robbins. I'm telling you,
Oh my goodness.
everybody has hope. Everybody.
I love it. And
I'm
Carlos,
telling you. I'm
I
telling
have
Joe, I'm gonna text him later. Hey brother, I was talking shit about you. But
um,
Andrea, my friend, wow, what a great interview. I'm so glad that we did this. This is gonna be here long after you and I are gone, and we're gonna take it to the grave. And
yeah.
people always gonna be able to watch it, really hear and know what we are about. Thank you for playing full out. And I question, my friend, that I ask every guest is 60 years from now, you are 100 years old,
Uh-huh.
and it's your eulogy, and your best friend is gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna be reading. If I happen to still be alive, I've been there blowing the whistle, doing my silly, just being Carlos that I am, silly and wild. And but in whole seriousness, they're gonna read your eulogy and they're gonna say, Andrea Quigley was dot dot dot. Who was Andrea Quigley?
She always saw the good in people, and she wanted people to live their full life.
Wow. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another episode of the Carlos Inspire Show. I'm so happy for this interview today. Andrea took your brother here on a timeline. We
Thank
talk
you,
about
Carlos.
some of our friends, Tony and
Yeah.
Joseph, and many others. Talk about the great Wade Dyer. You know what I mean? Those are the people that they mold us.
They
Our early
do. And
mentors.
I have to say, just to get it in, because I actually became friends with his wife, Marceline Dyer, who's
Yeah,
also like, you know, uh, was his support and just equally, amazing in her own right. And she has a book coming out here in the next year. And I actually reconnected her back to Tony. So,
that's so cool. Let's all
yeah,
support her, guys. I have so many friends that they passed, and their spouses are literally carrying on their foundations, their nonprofits. So
hmm
I love that you brought that up. Definitely, let's go ahead and follow her, guys. Let's support her when the
yeah,
book comes out. Let's put it out there. By the way, connect her with me that we can talk about
I
having her on
will.
the show, and
I will connect.
we'll have it right before the show, her book goes out, so we
Yep.
can get thousands and thousands of copies sold. Me, I'm a just I love Wayne. I met Wayne, and Wayne is just legendary.
hmm
I had so many, you guys know me, I like interviewing the legends, and many great people been on the show. Sharon Lecter, I love you, my sister. The godmother, she's the rich mom behind the Rich Dad Poor Dad, my boy
Yep.
Les and John, my boy Don Green, the president of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We have so many great people that have been here, and thank you for bringing that up, and
Thank
that's
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, my friend. Guys, again, I appreciate you all. You guys know the drill. Life is all about the mission, never the commission. If on everybody feeling down, you pounding on yourself and you calling yourself names, just remember brother Carlos here, man, selling that bread on the streets, getting out of the hood, impacting the billion plus lives,
Wow.
and reminding yourself that the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us. I love you all.